Create art with vine tendrils in the studio of Russell Sirianni. Chat with puppet fabricator William P.K. Carter. And catch a performance from Ginger Jesus. It's all ahead on this episode of AHA.
Funding for AHA has been provided by your contribution and by contributions to the WMHT Venture Fund. Contributors include the Leo Cox Beach Philanthropic Foundation, Chet and Karen Alpelka, Robert and Doris Fisher-Melisardi, and the Robeson Family Foundation.
At M&T Bank, we understand that the vitality of our communities is crucial to our continued success. That's why we take an active role in our community. M&T Bank is pleased to support WMHT programming that highlights the arts, and we invite you to do the same.
Hi, I'm Matt Rogowitz, and this is AHA, a house for arts, a place for all things creative. Speaking of all things creative, we've seen a lot of different artistic mediums on this show throughout the years, but I don't think we've covered anyone using vine tendrils, until now. Russell Sirianni is an artist based in Glens Falls who uses vine tendrils on paper to create stunningly complex compositions.
My artwork is drawing with vine tendrils, three-dimensional drawings. It's like using a 9B pencil for a thick line and a 2H for a thin line, but I'm doing it with these natural pieces. It really started when I saw a few vines in the tendrils in the backyard. See, this is what you'll find if the tendrils are always looking for something to hold on to. You look at that. I mean, that's a lot of determination to wrap around that. And I clipped them, just maybe 3 or 4 of them. And I put them on the windowsill. I didn't know why I was doing that or what it all meant. My background was in graphic design and printing, and everything was flat. So when I saw these lines on the windowsill, I saw it as a 3-dimensional line. And I started putting them together, and then they made those shapes similar to calligraphy.
The light bulb moment.
AHA. The work started out being literally interpretations of, like a semic art, making language out of them. It had nothing to do with knowing the language. It was always about the shape. I knew I wanted to expand that and make more shapes. The characters started to open up and fall, and then that moved me on to more dense artwork. I realized that I could make different tones in the drawing by how thin I make the lines or how thick and dense I make an area. Each piece moves me on to the next piece, and it truly is about the process. They start to get separated, whether they're a reddish color or a dark brown, and how thick they are. And then I need these hair-thin little pieces too. I buff them with steel wool to get the dirt off sometimes, and then you snip the stem so that it'll lie flat and hold glue. And then they're shellacked, otherwise the bark, a little thin bark, will decompose at some point. I don't rush on these. I use tweezers. I have to put glue with toothpicks and then place them where I want them on the paper. There's a point I want to reach with what I'm trying to say with it, and I'm not trying to say a lot. I just want someone to be able to just take a second look. What am I looking at? My goal is to be satisfied with the piece and see where it takes me for the next one. And there's no hurry to get there.
William P.K. Carter works with commonly found textiles to create illustrative quilts and fabric puppets that coalesce into fantasy-inspired musical vignettes. Jade Warwick sat down with William to learn more.
Hi, Will. Welcome to A House for Arts.
Hi, hello.
I know I'm excited to have you and talk about all things textile, puppetry, and all the beautiful things you're involved with and you love to do. So to introduce our audience to who you are and what you do, I want to know a little bit about what your practice is and how did your upbringing influence your current work?
Yeah, totally. So I am a quilter and a puppet artist, and I started by studying fiber arts in college. And so I went to Skidmore College. They have a very good fiber department, and so I took weaving classes, and I wove my own fabric, and I learned embroidery, and I was like, there's something missing. I love this. It's better than painting, but there's something missing. And so then I was doing classes, and I realized that, like, in my upbringing, my grandmother was a seamstress, and my grandfather, my papu, was a tailor. And so I always had my like Halloween costumes were like custom made to me, and like all of these other like Greek cultural costumes that we would wear at the Greek festivals, like it was made by people that I love. So I was like, okay, if I pull from that and I combine what I learned in school, I can teach myself something new that's a combination of it. So then I taught myself quilting, and then my senior year I made a quilted puppet, and from there I just been making quilted puppet after quilted puppet after quilted puppet.
Oh, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
it just like really threw you down that path fast. Yes.
Yeah. Well, there was so much like media that was puppetry that now looking back, I was like, how did I not get here sooner? Like Bear in the Big Blue House, all puppets. Like The Dark Crystal, all puppets. Sesame Street, all puppets.
Fraggle Rock.
Everything that I watched was basically puppetry, and like animation is digital puppetry.
Yeah.
So everything led me to here.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of your work has a lot of glitter and like golden thread throughout it. So like what's the significance with that and what's the meaning behind that?
Yeah, well, I'll start with the golden thread. I was raised Greek Orthodox, and so a lot of the imagery that I was seeing growing up and around the house that I still live in, my childhood home, was this gold embossing and embroidery of these icons. And these icons showed very powerful people who were important culturally in this very powerful way, and it brought light to them, which I thought was beautiful. So I used that visual language to incorporate it into my quilts and my puppets. And then I used glitter kind of similarly, but to pull in my queerness to the work. Because glitter, I mean, pretty like surface level is like, oh, you're gay, oh, you like glitter, oh, you wear glitter, rhinestone, da-da-da-da-da-da. But also, I personally believe that we as people are little rhinestones and are little pieces of glitter, where if we surround ourselves with people that are genuine and kind and beautiful and radiate light, we're gonna reflect that light. Just like glitter doesn't produce any light, but it reflects all the lights around it, like we are little pieces of glitter. Yeah. And so when I work with glitter, like this is completely quilted with a glitter tool on top of the fabric, like this is a reflection of all the beautiful, genuine people that I have in my life that I become because I just emulate what they are. You know?
Yeah, I do know that. And I can see it like sparkling. The lights are reflecting off of it right now. It's so bright and shiny. So this kind of goes back to how you said we grew up with a lot of puppetry. And a lot of those things you mentioned are fantasy. And I know fantasy within the arts and within media has been a big influence to you. So I want to know, why do you use fantasy to tell your stories? And how is that, I don't know, the conduit to getting your stories out?
Yeah, well, growing up, as a Black queer person in a conservative white area, there was not a lot of representation that I had. And so when I would like watch TV and see shows, the only like people that looked like me were these caricatures of an identity that the people writing them didn't fully understand. And so I found myself being pulled into fantasy and sci-fi, but more fantasy, because it really humanizes characters that don't look like the stereotypical like cis white person. And to me, that like othering from the main characters, but still being a fleshed out individual that was able to like have some tentacles coming off of their head or like their hair in a funky way. I mean, they were all black coded and queer coded anyway. But having those characters to look up to and find myself in was really freeing, because it like pulled me away from the expectations that were put on me, you know? Like when I'm comparing myself to these like standards that I will never reach, like that was really stifling for me. But when I was like, no, I can be this orange, like the Star Wars character with head tails and like do backflips and like still be iconic and kind of have my features, like that was really beautiful to me.
A lot of your work tackles homophobia and colorism. I know you have Ripe Fruit, Bruised Fruit, and Domesticated Creatures, and I think both of them tackle those subjects. So why is it important for the audience to understand these through your work, and why is it important to you?
Well, honestly, I can only ever talk about what I've experienced, and I used to think that everything that I experienced was so unique to me, and that was really isolating. And the moment that I realized that I could talk about my things that I've been through, like I have a lot of internalized homophobia, and I've experienced a lot of racism, and like colorism is so rampant, especially like in my family being like from the Caribbean. There is so many of these things that if I didn't talk about them, I would feel so alone in experiencing it. And I know, well, I know now from performing and talking about these things that so many people experience these as well. And the only way that we can really combat it is by talking about it and by understanding that because we're going through it, that we're connected, because we've all been through similar things. We have that connection. And also, that's not who we are. You know, the things that we go through do not make us as a person. It is a facet of us, it's an aspect, but it's not who we are. And if we don't talk about it and we don't make work about it and we don't make it beautiful and represent it in a way that is respectful to the person experiencing it, then we're letting it win, you know?
Yeah.
And I am not a loser.
Yeah.
No way.
There you go. So with these tough topics, because you know, some people may just like try to shut it off and be like, well, I don't want to hear it, or, you know, or I don't think that way, or I don't believe you. So how do you create comfort and understanding with such tough topics to get your audience to digest and understand and be empathetic?
I don't think it takes much work for people to be empathetic. I believe that everybody is going to be good or is good, and then there are things that we're taught socially that get in the way of that. But I think that using puppetry specifically to talk about these like really like vulnerable and uncomfortable topics to talk about, puppetry is a beautiful vessel for these messages, because there's no wall put up between people. Like if I were to talk about just like this to somebody that doesn't have my identity, that hasn't gone through what I've gone through, if I were to say like, oh, I went through this and I went through this, they're gonna be like, oh, that sucks for you, you know? But there may not be that connection to the material, because they see who I am and they're like, oh, we must not have been through similar things. But when I use a vessel, like a puppet, that has its own like individuality and agency and is not tied to any racial group or social class or anything, then that allows for people to project themselves onto it without any barriers, which I think is really beautiful. And it has led to community being made in people that would have never found community in each other otherwise, you know? Where they needed that sort of separation, like I'm not watching another person talk about their shame, I'm watching how this swan reacts to shame. And oh, I feel shame. Like, I think that this, as a medium, puppetry is such a beautiful, beautiful way to convey these topics to people. And also, I think it's the closest thing that we can get to imagination.
Yes.
Like, that's why I am in love with the medium, because I have a vivid imagination and I've always had one. And drawing and painting and even quilting, like that's a stagnant image. Like I can conjure what like a photograph of my imagination is in one of those pieces, but it's not gonna have the life, it's not gonna have the tactility that a puppet does.
Yes, and probably like you get to be flow, you get to move. Like that has to be so fun and energetic just to be out there, because you're not just on stage just sitting still. Like give us like a view of like how it is to witness you on stage. Is there lots of movement, like talking, music?
Yes, well, I personally never thought of myself as a performer or a mover or anything of the sort until I started doing puppetry, because I was like, no, my body is awkward. Like, I don't know how to move it. Like, I'll just make something, put it on a wall, and then stand and look at it. But in performing puppetry, I have like gotten so into my body, which is such a valuable thing to experience. But my pieces, this one specifically, because it's through the whole piece, this bird is swimming. The swan is swimming on water, and it starts slowly, and then it gets more rapid, and a storm starts, and the waves are getting bigger, and all throughout, the bird is plucking feathers, and because it's stressed, and this one is about internalized homophobia and shame. That's stress. But puppetry makes me engage in all parts of my body at once. While the music is going, I do record my own music and I compose my own stuff. But while all that is happening audibly, I have to be in control of, my right hand is controlling the body, which is the movement of the water, but my left hand is doing the beak and the head, which is very different. So it's like compartmentalizing different parts of my body while I'm performing so that they all do the different job that they need to do, you know?
Yeah, well, awesome. Well, thank you, Will, for taking us down your pathway of passion and introducing us to the lovely beautifulness of puppetry. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Please welcome Ginger Jesus.
Get my heart back. I'm back on the track. Gotta keep it rolling. 'Cause you know where I'm going. Gotta get back. Back on that track. I gotta keep it rolling. 'Cause you know where I'm going. to get my heart back. I'm back on the track. Gotta keep it rolling. 'Cause you know where I'm going. Gotta get back. I'm back on the track. Gotta keep it rolling. 'Cause you know where I'm going. You know where I'm going. Take me there, Jimmy. Bring it on back, boys. Been walking all night, babe. I'm sleeping by the break of day. I'm heading to the next town. Told you that I couldn't stay. Boys got my back now. Oh, you know they're rolling with me. Like a freight train of blood. American gold, that's the humanity. Hit you like a sack of bricks. We got a party tonight. Blow the roof out. Baby, come with me. Hit you like a sack of bricks. We got a party tonight. Blow that roof out. Baby, come with me. Blow the roof out. Blow that roof out.
Thanks for joining us. For more arts, visit WMHT.org/AHA and be sure to connect with us on social. I'm Matt Rogowitz. Thanks for watching.
Funding for AHA has been provided by your contribution and by contributions to the WMHT Venture Fund. Contributors include the Leo Cox Beach Philanthropic Foundation, Chet and Karen Alpelka, Robert and Doris Fisher-Melisardi, and the Robeson Family Foundation.
At M&T Bank, we understand that the vitality of our communities is crucial to our continued success. That's why we take an active role in our community. M&T Bank is pleased to support WMHT programming that highlights the arts, and we invite you to do the same.